it's Lauren from Onward Bound Marketing, and I run a six-figure agency. And in today's video, I thought we could kind of talk about some marketing advice that I've seen circulating the net, TikTok in particular, kind of vetting their advice and making your life a little bit easier so that you know what works and what doesn't. The first TikTok is called, "Here's how you can use LinkedIn to make an extra $1,000 plus."
This is how LinkedIn is going to make you a millionaire. I've never seen anyone talk about this, so if you do it now, you can beat out everyone and be in front of the race. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go and get Snove.io. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to LinkedIn and you're going to type in the CEO of any industry. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go to people. So for example, right here, we're just going to click on his profile, use the extension that Snove.io gives us when we get it. And then from here, we'll be able to get his actual email, which is right here. And then we just contact them for whatever service they are in demand for, and we try to sell it to them. And that's how you can make millions using the help of Snove.io and LinkedIn. Follow me if you want to learn how to create your own six-figure agency in 2023.
So it isn't mentioned in this video is that you better make darn sure that you are really confident in whatever it is you're pitching them. You're reaching out to people that don't have a lot of time. I guess I'm sort of considered a CEO on an extremely modest level, and I don't even like getting cold emails. I hate it when I log on, this is just me, rant fest real quick. I hate logging on to LinkedIn and getting a slew of friend requests or connection requests from people that I know are going to pitch me, and it always happens after I post something. You know how many emails I get in a day? I respond so well to personalization. If I see something with my name on it, you've done your research, you know who I am. Even better, if you make a Loom video or some kind of recording walking me through, like you're doing like a live audit of something of mine, boy, that's hot. Oh, I'll click on that any day. But as far as email scraping goes, if you're going for quantity, yes, there are tools that are available for that. That's the most efficient way to get a lot of contacts in your list. The other thing that you want to be careful of too is that if you're sending emails in bulk using these like email scraper tools, depending on how many a day you send, Google, I'm just using Google just because that's what I'm most familiar with, Gmail will flag you. That's why you see so many of those guys in your spam folder, because they're blasting people on a daily basis with the same email. The ones that do make it to my inbox, like I mentioned, are most likely keeping it like under 50 or whatever Google or Gmail's ceiling number is. I think it's like you can't send more than like 50 emails, cold emails a day or something like that. Otherwise you get blacklisted. You wind up in people's spam folders, junk folders. I don't know who you are. Now you're in my spam folder. How does it feel? I'm not knocking cold outreach at all. I sometimes it works for me. It doesn't. I've tried it. I hate it. It's the bane of my existence. It can work. I think it just depends on your communication style, your product, how much time you have, how much you're willing to commit to it. For me, I've gotten the most value and quality referrals based on those that I've been building relationships with through networking. For me, networking has been a really, really big one. I've gotten a lot of really good referral partners that way. And because people know who I am and they can speak to what I do, there's that trust element, the three magic qualities in marketing. It's a lot easier for people to want to be like, oh yeah, Lauren, she's good. She's so on top of it. I would go talk to her. So yeah, those are my thoughts. You better make darn sure that you really understand their pain point. There is ideally some kind of personalization in that email, and you're able to get right to the point, right into the meat of what it is and why these people need it. Because they're busy. They're very busy and they don't know who you are. This one is called Warning About Marketing Gurus.
Before you adopt a marketing strategy from one of these major brands or one of these major marketing gurus tells you to use, modeling it off of one of these major brands, especially luxury brands, you need to understand how that brand even got there in the first place. And what you'll usually find, it's due to scrappy and guerrilla warfare level marketing tactics. And for example, like when I first started my brand, I really wanted to model everything off Eric Emanuel because I was off shorts, right? You need to understand that Eric Emanuel was getting his clothes on celebrities extremely early on. That's going to launch you and catapult you and allow you to skip things that you would normally otherwise not have to do. If someone has a large personal brand, they're telling you to make content, that's what they know how to do. And they were able to use their personal brand with people that already like them to catapult their brand. Yes, right now I know there's a huge focus on using organic content, and it's great, and it does work for some brands. Then you have brands like Kill Crew that grew to $100 million in revenue in 4 years, predominantly using ads. Your story is not going to be somebody else's story when you're building your company, and the tactics you use to get there are not going to be the same tactics as someone else. At the end of the day, you need to try everything and just see what works, see what sticks on a wall. And that may not be much of a strategy, but most of the time you'll find that a lot of the most successful people are just scrappy motherfuckers that never quit.
I do agree with this video. One person's success story will not be your same success story. I make it a personal mission of mine to make sure that any success that I have is as self-made as possible, because I want to be able to report on it and tell people how to create a version of that thing for themselves based on their metrics of success. And I really like that he says that, because it is so easy. I mean, if I'm this person with this huge personal brand and I've got someone telling me, make content, make this many Instagram reels a day, have this many Instagram followers a day, it is so much easier said than done, because you've got all these resources at your fingertips. You've got all this time to make that content and to make those videos. Are you going to be telling someone that who's working multiple jobs and they've got their side business that they're trying to get up and going, and you're trying to add more onto their plate because you're saying content will make them $100,000 in a year? I disagree with that. That's what I did, and look at where I'm at. It is so easy to sell the image and not the execution. You don't know what you're doing. Of course you don't if you're early stage. Like, if you're maybe somewhere in the middle where you're finding your footing after like a couple years or so, I mean, there's a lot of experimenting and exploration and networking that has to happen in order for you to figure out a lot of different things. Does my offer even work? Am I solving a problem that needs to be solved or that other people are experiencing? Is it niche enough or is it broad enough? Am I networking with enough people who can vouch for me and send me referrals? Am I building a reputation that people respect? Because your reputation will follow you everywhere. If anything, that is the earliest thing in your entrepreneurial journey that you will have to go off of before you have case studies, before you have testimonials. As a person, what do people think of you? Because remember, the 3 magic words in marketing: like, know, trust, baby. Idolizing people and putting these marketing gurus up on a pedestal can be dangerous, because you're putting a lot of your faith and your trust, that's a lot of eggs, into one person's basket. You wouldn't do the same thing if you were investing in the S&P, right? You're going to spread things out to minimize the risk. I personally prefer the cocktail method. I like some stuff from Alex Hormozi. I like some stuff from Layla Hormozi. I like some stuff from Justin Welsh. I like some people, like, I kind of pick and choose what I like from folks and just turn it into my own little sauce, right? My own little secret sauce. And that'll gradually start to build. Are you self-aware enough to be able to say, that's not working, I should pivot, without your ego getting in the way? And are you consistent enough to be able to pick up on those microscopic little clues that you will get that say, yes, this is working? Because the smaller you are, the smaller results and clues that you're gonna get. So you've really got to be tuned in to, what do the numbers say? What are the people saying? How are people speaking about me? And a lot of that can be addressed in networking. Just as an example, that's one thing that I've experienced. The best work is the grunt work, and the grunt work is not beautiful. Ooh, I'm having fun with these.
Hey, this is honestly how I run my ads, and it's so simple. I literally see what was my most viral post, what was my most shared, commented, all of that, and you can easily see that through the analytics.
Yep.
And you run an ad on that. See, what people do is they want to create their own ad. But you don't realize, when people scroll through their feed, they're naturally aggravated by ads. So you got to make it blend in with the natural flow of their feed. So I don't even send them to the website. I send them straight to my profile. I want you to follow me first. See, I run this type of system. This is how you really make money on the internet. You want them to follow you. You don't want to direct them straight to your website. Mm-hmm. You don't want to do that. You want them to say, hey, come check out my content. And then that person one day is going to turn into a customer. So your followers are your investments. So that's why you want a lot of them, because the numbers are there. If you got 100K people in the room, the amount of yeses is higher than when you got 1,000 people in the room. So people think followers shouldn't matter, blah, blah, blah. Well, when it's time for you to sell a product,
they matter.
You might want to have 100K people in the room instead of 1,000 people saying, hey, buy this.
I do agree with what he's saying. Your network is your net worth. I do think with his strategy that if you do that, your call to action has to be very, very clear. And I think that following someone that you like is more of like an implied or a more intuitive kind of call to action. Because if you like someone, of course, you're going to want to get more of their stuff. So you'll hit subscribe. Oh my! I have a 13-month-old dog. And I took him to the vet recently, and she said that you have an extremely anxious dog, so he's on medication now. And because he's so freaking anxious all the time, he screams every time he wakes up. We're working on it. He's a very happy, well-loved dog. If you hear his screaming in the background, please ignore it. That's what I do. In general, your calls to action need to be very specific. They need to be direct. They need to give an audience something to do after they look at something that they like. Anything that you do in marketing, you always want to have a call to action. Any of the buttons that you have on your website, any of like your little what do you think questions at the end of your LinkedIn post, those are all really good calls to action. But what this guy is saying also lends really well to sort of like the golden rule of market, maybe not the golden rule of marketing, but one of the really sticky points, I guess I'll say, of marketing is that not everyone is going to be ready to buy when you advertise, or if you decide to run ads, or if you're pitching people cold or anything like that. Not everyone's going to be willing to buy or be ready to buy, and that's okay, but you want to be the first person that they think of when they're ready to buy. I don't need a pair of workout leggings right now, but if I do, I'll go to Nike. I'll go to Lululemon. I'll go to, I don't know, whatever people are buying these days. I don't know. I get whatever TJ Maxx gives me. But like, people have their brands that they like because there's some kind of shared culture or cultural experience or value, or people just like you. If you're someone who's more front facing, if you have more of like a person's face on your brand, like a personal brand. Relationships mean everything. And in a world where anyone and everyone can advertise to you at all hours of the day, it is so easy to just get worn out. And I think people are just tired. People are so tired. I don't need to see more ads. I want to feel more of a connection. And I think this guy kind of hits a really good middle ground where you're not advertising, but you're letting people know, hey, I'm over here in this corner of the internet. Come hang out with me if you're really into this kind of thing, or check me out if you want to learn more, if you're curious. Because in my opinion, curiosity is one of the best reactions that you can get. There's a lot that you can do with curiosity. And oftentimes, curiosity, it turns into exploration. And that's exactly what this guy's talking about. So I do agree with him. Well done. All right, next one. This is called the number one mistake I see people make when building their marketing. The $10 million ad secret. I think what I'm learning is that when you have really punchy headlines like that, I'm likely to personally disagree with it, but let's hear him out, see what he has to say.
Number one mistake I see with people building their video marketing, they're just too short. Ad that I did that did really well, this is a 45-minute one. That's an 8-figure ad. The conversion rate on people who watch you for 45 minutes is crazy high. If it's interesting, it can be long. 45 is like the sweet spot for selling something, especially something high ticket. So don't be afraid to do longer.
I think it's dangerous to do blanket statements like this because, like we learned a couple videos ago, one person's experience will likely not always be your experience. Short forms are the hook. Short forms are for the people who are like, what am I getting? Just tell me, like 10 seconds. What is this about? Who are you? What do you do? Why is this important? Shorts are like the resume scan. I mean, employers do not spend any more than like 10 seconds looking over someone's resume. It's the same thing. Like, I'm vetting you and you better hit the mark in 10 or 15 seconds. Whatever mark that is completely subjective to the person watching it. If I like the hook and I want to see more of your stuff, or if you make a really interesting point and I want to go deeper on the details around that point, I would like to have the option to look at a longer form piece of content. What the numbers have also told me about long form content is that the retention tends to be higher. If people like you, they will stick around and they will watch your content, or most of it at least. Some people like to make lots of different shorts, like TikTok or something, and then depending on demand, what does well, they'll expand it into a long form video. I think that's a really good way to be conservative and efficient with your energy and your attention. Some people like to go the opposite way, where you make something longer form and then you slice and dice it and then, sprinkle them throughout your algorithm on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, Instagram, whatever. I would say the creation process is completely up to you. I forget who it is. It's either like Neil Gaiman or Stephen King or something like that, but they're like, if you ask someone for feedback on what they think about your stuff, they're almost always right when they tell you what their impression of it is. But if they tell you how to do it, that's kind of where things might get a little bit muddier and it may or may not be accurate. That's why we pay attention to the analytics. That's why we pay attention to the feedback. That's why we pay attention to viewer analytics, or viewer retention, average watch time, because those are objective analytics. The numbers don't lie. They just need context. And this is stuff that I look at pretty darn frequently for a lot of my clients. It's like your ikigai. Like, what do you like to make and what do people like to receive? I think there just needs to be a little more context around what he's saying, because these are all short clips that we're seeing. So I'm going to pause things here real quick because this video is getting a little bit longer than I thought it would be, but I do still think that it is worth having discussions around. So I'm actually going to break this video up into 2 parts. If you enjoyed this first part, feel free to check out the second part that will be uploaded to the channel relatively soon. Feel free to check out all the other stuff linked in the description as well. And otherwise, if you've enjoyed this so far, feel free to like, subscribe, share your comments below. And that's all I got. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.